Guys, he just threatened my life. Call 911, please.
Oh, please. We know I have no rights here right now, so... Anyways, hey guys.
Yes, welcome to Meetthemazelins, guys. My name is Brian.
And I'm Alec.
And this is my fiance.
Yeah.
So, today, what are we talking about, babe?
Today, we are going to be delving in a little bit about our immigration experience so far, at least, because it isn't completed. But for many of you who may be following our journey and are up to date with the videos, you would have known that I'm originally from Jamaica, and we just successfully got through with our K-1 / Fiancé visa.
Yeah.
So for people were asking questions about it before. So we're just going to do a little roundup for you guys. It's going to have some information, but we're also going to be telling you about our personal experience, because by no means
are we lawyers.
We're not professionals.
Yeah.
So don't hold us accountable if it is that you decide to go through the process. But for us in particular, we did it on our own, and we depended a lot on help from other people who had gone through whether this process or a similar one.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to help out, guys.
Yeah, that's it. No, don't hold us to anything that we say. We might miss some steps in here, but
yeah, we're going to try and include as much information as we can.
Yeah. All right, let's get started. So, what you guys didn't get to see on camera when I proposed to Alec was, in addition to the book, I actually had the paperwork for us to fill out to file for the K-1 visa.
Yeah, in the same gift. Yeah, the form.
It was in the same box right underneath it, but that wasn't on tape. So.
Yeah. So we filled out the paperwork, and that would have been December of 2020.
Christmas, actually.
So it was on Christmas Day. Brian returned to Jamaica. Not to Jamaica, to the US. When was it? Probably.
It was after the New Year. Or was it? It was right
before the New Year. Yeah.
So I filed the paperwork on January 1st. January 5th. And
then from there, sent everything off.
Yep. We had to send, some of the documents that they needed, like copies of passports, your birth certificate. We had to take passport pictures, 2 apiece.
Most of the information that they required at that point was really from him.
Yeah.
The only thing that they needed from me was information to be filled out on the form and the passport pictures. So any evidence was on his side.
Yeah. Stamps
from his passport, copies of that, whatever US documents. So he would have been acknowledged as the petitioner at that time.
Yeah. So I did all of that. I submitted it. They didn't receive it until I think March is when we got the notice of action. They actually got the affidavit, and that's when they were going to start working on it. And then from there, we just waited.
Yeah, so that process, from what we read online, was supposed to take 1 month for them to receive the documents, and it took 2 to 3 months for them to even just receive it.
Yeah.
Well, we went through the K-1 route because also reading online, we saw that it's supposed to range from like 5 to 9 months on average from beginning to end. So we were like, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, our thought process was, if we started in January, he'll be here by September, latest October. And
the thing is that, at that point, I was still very heavy in work. Because of other reasons and, things that I had to deal with in Jamaica, I wouldn't have been comfortable to just up and go. So it would have bought us some time before we would have had to commit to a decision of me staying here or anything like that. So that's why we went the K-1 route, because of course we couldn't have gotten married in Jamaica, considering that we are a same-sex couple. So for people who are looking, say for example, I didn't have a visitor's visa, K-1 would definitely be the route that you would want to go. Other people have gone the other route where it is that they just go ahead and get married and then they file an adjustment of status. So that would have been the other route. But hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
And we had already started with the K-1 process. So we truly just had to see it out to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. And like you said, in hindsight, we could have just got married and like started the process and did that when everything was done, but we didn't know. Like we said, we did it ourselves. However, even though this really kind of wrecked our plans when it comes to a wedding and it took a lot longer than we anticipated, I don't think I would have done it any other way.
Because I mean, to be quite honest, at that time when we made the decision, as I said, like I was not ready to just up and leave everything. I couldn't at that time.
Yeah.
So if we were to go back, knowing what we knew then, being in that same space and those conditions, I don't think that we would have done it any differently. Yeah, I mean, it was just unfortunate that we did our process during COVID. So that was a huge reason for the backlog that they did have, and why it is that the process that should have been 5 to 9 months ended up taking 17.
That, in addition to the president prior to the one we have now, he who must not be named, he actually halted the immigration process for all of these visas a couple months before his term ended. So he stopped it for a couple months, so that was a backlog, and then COVID happened, which even made the backlog even longer. So there was multiple factors playing against, the visa approvals at that time.
Yeah. So after it is that we applied, we literally didn't hear back until September.
Yeah.
Until the middle of September. So 9 months had passed before we had even heard anything. At that point, we had gotten an approval letter.
Yeah.
Mind you, this approval letter that we got still wasn't the end of the process. So we thought
we
we
thought
got
it was
the
over.
approval, and we're like, yes, it happened in the 9 months.
Yeah.
And we're good. Only to find out that after that approval, it now gives you permission to go and fill out another form.
To get an approval from another entity, which is the NVC.
Which is the National Visa Center.
Yeah. So we thought we were smooth sailing, and we had just boarded the boat.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So after it is that the other form is the DS-160. So that's something now that I had to fill out. It would have had all the times that I would have traveled in the last 10 years. So it's a very extensive application. It took me maybe 2 days to complete it. In total, it requires a whole lot of information. After it is that we submitted that, it's time for you to pay some more fees.
And I didn't know you had to pay this part.
Yeah.
So we didn't even tell them how much we paid to file it.
Oh, yeah. So
to file it, it was $525. That was in 2020. So it's 2022 now. So that fee may have gone up, but it was $525 back then.
And then by the time that I had to do the DS-160, that's an additional $265 to send off that application. From there, when you send that off to NVC, you have to print your confirmation letter, and then you get to go ahead to try and select an interview date. I selected the interview date in December, and that's when I was also supposed to do the medical. So the medical is supposed to be at least 10 days before the interview, but because of COVID, they had made some adjustments to that. I also needed to get something from the Registrar General's Department in Jamaica to say that I've never previously been married before. If you had been married before and you've been divorced, then you would need a certificate to show that you are divorced, and they're going to need originals of that. And I also had to go about collecting a police report just to make sure that everything is clean. So when I went back to Jamaica, I had a whole lot of run up and down to do. Yeah, but that whole Jamaica trip now, it wasn't as simple as we thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, he actually was able to get footage from the process start to, I guess, almost finish.
Yeah, so more so when I was doing the medical, and whatever transpired since that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna show you guys that now. Well, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I made it back here at the airport, and the sun is extremely hot. Yeah, but I'm back safely. Good morning, everybody. Checking in on day 2 or 3. I don't even know. But yeah, just giving you an update. So I went and did another COVID test yesterday. So I had to pay for both a PCR and an antigen test, and both of them came back negative. So I literally just got back the PCR test to say that it was negative. Today is Saturday, December 11th, and I had my medical on the 13th. So this would have stopped me from being able to do the interview as well as the medical, and I just got back the result to say that it is negative. Sorry, I look an absolute mess. This is how you know this is not doctored at all. But I'm just super happy that everything can move forward, because I really didn't want this to be pushed back any further. This already is such an emotional roller coaster, and yeah, I'm just glad that I don't have to wait. So we get to go through as planned with everything next week. So I'm gonna be heading to Kingston today, and now I need to go pack. So I gotta talk to you guys later. Bye. Hopefully there isn't too much breeze here, but I am about to head to Kingston because that's where I'm going to be doing my interview. So I have my medical on Monday and then the interview on Thursday, and I'm gonna be I'm recording.
Listen to me! This is my flag! Oh my god, Vicky!
Anyways, guys, yeah, that was my friend Tarina. As you can see, it was a reunion, so yeah, I'm gonna head inside now because we're about to board the bus soon. And as always, I'll keep you guys updated, so cross your fingers for me, wish me luck. Good morning, guys. So today is medical day. I'm here at the hospital where I'm gonna be doing the medical. Have my documents here, and yeah, just doing a quick check-in with you before I get everything started. It's Monday the 13th of December. I'm a little bit nervous just because, you know, when something is as important as this, like, you just don't want anything to go wrong. So I'm just a little bit anxious. So just taking a little bit of time just to check in. But yeah, I'm excited that this time has finally come. Yeah, so wish me luck with everything. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hey guys, I am checking in because I know that you haven't heard from me since I did the medical. So today's Tuesday, and I'm gonna tell you why. Did the medical yesterday. I was there for a total of 7.5 hours. So I was pretty much there the entire day. And kind of got a little bit of bad news. It has nothing to do with my health. So, you know, thank God for that. But yeah, there's a test that I was required to do. But unfortunately, at this moment in time, we're not able to run those test results here in Jamaica. So because of that, it's going to be couriered to the US and then sent back here, which is going to take some time. They said it's going to take about 8 weeks. But what that means is that my results that should be sent over to the embassy for my interview, it wouldn't be there in time. So they said normally what would happen is that they inform the embassy and they will delay my interview until after they've gotten those results. Unfortunately, with the wedding 3 months away, we're gonna have to postpone. So that's the bad news. Ideally, it's not something that myself or Brian wanted, but you know, at this point, with cutting it so close and with so much to do, it's already such like an anxious, like an anxiety filled situation. You don't want to be rushing to do things and then it not be the way that you want it to be. So I couldn't record at all yesterday after because I was deflated. I'm gonna be honest. I was like really, really torn up about it, and Brian as well. So it took a little while before I could say anything. And you know, even at this point, like, to tell the people that are invited and to be going over it each time, it like kind of puts a little bit more salt in the wound. But we did promise that on this channel that we're gonna be as transparent and honest as possible with you guys in sharing our journey. So that's exactly what it is that I'm here trying to do. We're trying to remain optimistic because they say that everything happens for a reason, and I'm sure that it will show its head as to why things are happening the way that they are. But we're still hopeful. We still have a lot to be grateful and like happy about, because it doesn't affect our love for one another. It might alter the time for everything to happen the way that we would want it, but clearly there's a greater plan ahead. So yeah, we just want to take this time out to thank you guys so much for the support and well wishes. We know that people have been counting down just like ourselves, so I'm sure you guys are disappointed too, but you know, we're all in this together, and yeah, things are gonna happen all the same, and we're bringing you guys along with us. So yeah, huge thanks to everybody that will find out before this video comes out and who have given their support to us at this point. Yeah, thanks in advance. Belated thanks, you know, whichever one. But yeah, so we will continue this another time.
So yeah, guys, as you can see, that was a pretty tough time.
Yeah. I mean, just to explain a little bit more in detail what had happened. When I was heading back to Jamaica to do everything, had to do a COVID test, of course. At that time, you only needed an antigen test to be able to travel and to be able to move around freely and not serve an 8-day quarantine period in Jamaica. You also would have needed to have done a PCR test within 3 days prior to arriving. So I did both of them up here at Walgreens, got the antigen test results within 30 minutes. And then I was to get the PCR test result the day after I got back to Jamaica.
Up to 3 days,
Yeah. So I got my negative, went to Jamaica, literally either the night that I got there, or it was the night, the night that I got there, get an email saying that the PCR test result is positive.
Yeah.
I was so distraught because he was sleeping at the time. I couldn't even sleep that night.
You called me, right?
I called you in the morning.
Oh, early in the morning.
I got it like 1 a.m. and I didn't call you till I knew that you were going to be getting up for work, which would have been like 5 or 6. So I stayed up the entire time, couldn't sleep because I was so distraught. I told my mother and everything because, of course, now I don't want to get anybody else sick. So I'm there by myself, and she just said, just calm down. You're just going to have to go and do both tests over. So went somewhere, did the 2 of them. Instead of now having to get the free one done, I had to pay $180 in Jamaica, US, to get both tests done. You see why freeness not good? Luckily, I got back both results and both were negative.
Yeah.
So I was able to go ahead and do the medical. But at that point, like, I was already so ridden with anxiety. Never used to have anxiety issues before this process that we went through. Yeah. But literally every stage, what could go wrong had gone wrong.
Yeah. So, that should have been the telltale sign. Like, things were not going to be easy from that point going. Because everything was so good up until that.
Yeah, until that point, that part in our process. Because then went and did the medical the Monday. Mind you, the medical in total, I was at the hospital for 7.5 hours from the point of check-in to the point when I had finished doing everything there. And at the end of the process was told that I also need to do an additional test, and my visa appointment date would have been postponed indefinitely. And after I do that test, then I would have had to wait 8 weeks to get back the results. And it actually took how many weeks?
About 14 to 16.
Yeah, 14 to 16 weeks.
Almost double the time that they told us it was going to take.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating because at that 8 weeks, I was getting, like, I'm an Aries, so my patience is very thin. So at 8 weeks, I'm like, call. Call. And he's like, no, Alec is not the person to bother people. He will sit and wait, and that's just not me.
Because I was there, like, they said 8 to 10 weeks. We can wait the 10 weeks. If you reach 10 weeks, then we can start calling.
At 12, I was like, all right, who do I need to pull up on? Because they're not answering the phones, or if you do answer, they just tell you don't call, we'll call you. They have no kind of compassion. So it's like...
And I get it. I mean, the people who are trying to answer are the same people, are the nurses who are doing everything there. So I get that they're busy, but, sitting on our end where it is that you're holding the blade and you're just waiting, like, you kind of want to know what's up, especially when it's such an important thing in your life, when you know that you've put things on pause.
Yeah.
And this entire experience, it had us have difficult conversations that we never had to have before. We possibly were going to be facing the reality of going back to our original circumstances, being on the long distance. Because when this was taking so long, I kind of told Brian, if this doesn't work out pretty soon, then I might have to look into going back to Jamaica and looking for a job. Because it's pressuring on him, having to take care of a child, take care of me, and take care of himself. So I didn't want him to be under that kind of pressure. And then for me, somebody who was extremely independent, who was used to taking care of a lot of things on my own, to depend on somebody wholly and entirely was very difficult for me as well. So we were facing some difficult realities then.
Yeah. I didn't want him to find work like that because I just felt like that would have been a step backwards, especially with how public we came out in Jamaica.
Everybody would have known. It wouldn't have been something I would have been able to hide.
And then that would have put another layer of fear on me because, as we all know, Jamaica is not a LGBTQ plus friendly place. So that was the last thing I wanted to happen, but it just so happened that like the week that we were going to Vegas for my birthday, that's when we got the call. That's when Alec got the call saying like you can make your appointment.
I was like half sleeping when I got the call, and I think I got the call, like I answered it right before it stopped ringing, and I was nervous. My voice was shaking. I literally just woke up out of sleep. So yeah, we got the call right before we were to leave for Brian's birthday. I had already decided that I was gonna leave right after his birthday. So we had extended my flight to the week after.
Because the original flight was supposed to leave weeks before my birthday.
March 28th.
Damn. You're right. Because I was sad that day. I was very sad. But he ended up staying. He postponed it. He said he wanted to stay at least to my birthday. And I'm glad he did it. Because then we wouldn't have had Vegas.
Yeah. And I mean, to be quite honest, that trip would have been my last because my visitor's visa was going to be expired on July 8th. So I knew that this trip, I wouldn't be able to have time to go back to Jamaica and then come back up here before and be able to stay out a significant period of time before my visitor's visa would have been up. So we kind of just, we were living in this world of not knowing and uncertainty.
I was ready to move to Jamaica. I'm like, I can't do this.
I wouldn't have asked you to do that.
It wouldn't have been a question.
But yeah, like when we got that call, we were so happy, so relieved. And when I went back down for the interview, COVID test and everything was no longer a question. So traveling back was easier. And when I went to do the interview, I just made sure I had all the documents that I needed. I had checked them over at least 10 times. So I had the DS-160 confirmation page, my original birth certificate of no impediment, police certificate. What else would I have needed? I had everything. I had job letter for him, pay slips,
my tax return,
his tax return,
BJ's first leg.
It was a lot of documentation that I carried with me. I also made sure to have pictures and evidence of our relationship. So I had ticket stubs from places that we had traveled together. I of course had the book that he had given me when we got engaged initially, when he proposed. So that had a whole lot of pictures in there. Pictures with us, with my family. Yeah, so I brought everything that I thought was necessary. When I went to the embassy, I maybe had to wait for 40 to 50 minutes to actually be interviewed. How the embassy in Kingston is set up is that it's windows. So it's windows as if you had gone to the bank and you had different cashier windows. So it's very open. So they actually interviewed me in private, considering the fact that they knew that it was a same-sex relationship and they didn't want to put me at any sort of risk, considering that Jamaica is not the most LGBTQ plus friendly place. So I really appreciated that. The actual interview lasted maybe 15 to 20 minutes. They just asked me some of the information that would have been on all the forms and just about our relationship, what plans we had in the future. And then they told me that I was getting the approval. Took my passport, and within a week, my passport was ready. And we made our plans very soon after.
Very soon. So that's where we actually caught you guys up. So you actually saw him picking up the passport. You saw him when he first got his reaction, or when he first got the news that we were approved. So we're just catching you up now.
to tell you what our process
Yeah,
has been like
and what
over
it's
the last
been.
17 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we say immigration journey so far because it still isn't completed yet. So once it is that I entered the US and I got documents to give to an immigration officer as soon as I had landed, after they just asked me a few questions just to have contact information, they told me I have 90 days to be able to get married. So it doesn't mean that we're getting married in 90 days. I have 90 days to get married and file for the green card, which is the latter stage of the process.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be here, and we're excited to now solidify plans for, or lack thereof, plans for this wedding. But I can tell you for sure, with full confidence, that we are quite content with what it is that we have planned, with the date that we're gonna be getting married. So we're gonna be sharing all of that with you guys very soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm ready now, but we're gonna wait a little bit.
We'll keep that part of the video, you know? This one is about immigration.
Okay.
But yeah, we are really excited. We're very happy that we went through this process. As you said, we wouldn't have changed it because we've learned so much about ourselves, about each other.
Yeah.
We've gone through the arguments. We learned how each other deals with stress and problems. And those are all things that I think we needed to go through.
For sure. Because we were coasting in like a honeymoon phase, but it wasn't, because I still feel like we're in our honeymoon phase. Like, but I think we needed to have that experience of like learning how somebody is when they're really pissed off and learning how they handle things and vice versa. So I would, like I said, I wouldn't change anything that we went through.
Yeah.
In the moment, I was upset. I was over it. But now in hindsight, I'm like, we kind of needed to go through all of that to learn different parts of who we are. And I love them through it all.
Yeah. I love you too. But yes, guys, I hope that this was able to help somebody else out there, because we know that we have subscribers who either have gone through the process or might be looking to go through the process. We had to lean on people during our time when we were doing it by ourselves. So this is our way of paying it forward. Yeah. If there's anybody out there who wants a little bit more information about what we did, we can tell you our experience in more detail. If you don't want to comment on YouTube, you can always find us on Instagram. The link is in the description box below. You can send us a message there and we'll try our best to answer as quickly as we can. Yeah. But if you guys like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, don't be afraid to just type it in that box below and click enter. Please remember to share the video, guys. And if you haven't already, most importantly, you need to do what?
Subscribe.
All right, guys. Well, that's it from us today.